Yes, we are damaging our skin or temporarily disrupt the balance of our skin, more often than we think. A stronger formula isn't necessarily a smarter formula. Probably the future of skincare will be less about how much we can make the skin do and more about how intelligently we can support what the skin already knows how to do.
This is Skin Talks, the podcast where we go deeper than skin, products, and trends and explore the conversations that actually matter in health, beauty, wellness, and confidence.
We're a mother-daughter duo and the founders of Boutique Skin Envie. After years inside the industry, we've learned that health is never just about what you use. It's about everything you digest, how you think, how you live, what you eat, how you move, what you put on your skin, and how you feel in your own body.
If you're looking for insight, honesty, and a fresh perspective on the future of health, beauty, and wellness, you're in the right place.
Let's get into it.
Skin Talks podcast by Boutique Skin Envie, hosted by Beata and Natasha.
We have never known more about skincare. We know the ingredients, the percentage, the routines. We double cleanse, exfoliate, layer vitamin C, retinol, acids, and peptides, all in the pursuit of healthier skin. But what if all that effort is getting in the way? Today's guest has spent more than 46 years developing skincare from inside the lab. Isabelle is the Vice President of Strategy, Quality, and Innovation at Crescita Therapeutics. Her career has included leading innovation for Laboratoire Dr Renaud, Proderm, Aquafolia, and serving as R&D Director for Valeant Pharmaceuticals International, Center of Excellence in Skincare. Her philosophy is refreshingly simple. Stop trying to overpower the skin, understand its biology, work with it, and use fewer things more intelligently. Today, we're talking about what happens when we overtreat our skin, why stronger doesn't necessarily mean better, the science of biomimicry, and what exosomes, NAD+, and regenerative skincare could mean for the future. Isabelle, welcome to Skin Talks.
Isabelle, thank you so much for coming on today. We're so excited to dive into this conversation. But first, we want to know, after 46 years of developing skincare, what do consumers get most wrong about their skin?
I think we often underestimated how much the skin can actually do on its own. And we tend to treat it as if it constantly needs to be corrected, exfoliated, stimulated, renewed, repair. But the skin is a living organ and it has its own defense mechanisms, its own repair mechanisms, its own way also of renewing itself. It has its own intelligence. So after 46 years of developing skincare, I see my role a little bit differently now. It's not making the skin work harder. It's about understanding what the skin needs and giving it the right support at the right time.
I like that
I love that, yeah.
I think we often forget that, actually.
Yeah.
That the skin has its own mechanisms
It's extremely intelligent, the skin. Like the body, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It tends always to go back to balance, right?
Always. So, yeah. So you've worked, Isabelle, across dermocosmetics and pharmaceutical skincare. What have those two worlds taught you?
Well, pharma really taught me rigor. Mm-hmm. You make a claim, you need to be able to connect it to a mechanism, to data, to a concentration, to a proper methodology. But cosmetics taught me something equally important. A technology can look amazing on a piece of paper, but if the product isn't pleasant, isn't well tolerated, and easy to use in real life, it probably isn't going to work. So I think we really need both the science and the reality of how people actually use skincare.
That's so interesting too. We forget about that. We forget about all the experience that the user has with skincare. So that's very cool. I like that. And has science changed your mind about anything you believed earlier in your career?
absolutely. I think one of the biggest things I've learned is that the best science is the science that survives real life.
Okay.
So something can make perfect sense scientifically, but what really matters is what happens when people actually use it consistently over time on real skin. So that's where you really learn whether something works, right?
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Mm-hmm. And I want to know, there's always so many ingredients and products and trends that go viral. What's the first question you ask as a scientist when you see a new ingredient go viral?
Honestly, I'm always very cautious till I see proof because I saw a lot of volatile trend, in all these years, and marketing mirages. I don't immediately think it is the next miracle ingredient. So first, I want to understand what it actually does. What's the biological rationale behind it? At what concentration? In what form? How is it delivered? And most importantly, do we have data showing that what we see biologically actually translate into a meaningful benefit for the skin? Because there's a big difference between having a great ingredient story, understanding a mechanism, and also actually demonstrating a clinical benefit.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's very important.
And that's very interesting, actually.
Yeah. So we just actually recorded an episode of like trends and people doing so much with skincare now and all these like gadgets and things like that.
Like
are we actually, and are we actually damaging our skin in the name of taking better care of it? Like with all these new things coming out, is it good or bad for our skin?
Is it too much?
Yes, we are damaging our skin or temporarily disrupt the balance of our skin, more often than we think.
So what happens like to the skin when you're overwashing it, over exfoliating it, or putting too many products on,
active
or like
ingredients and stuff like that?
What are we actually doing to the skin?
Yeah. Okay. So when we talk about overwash the skin, over exfoliate, layer, too many active ingredients, I wouldn't say that the active ingredients are the problem. The problem is when we forget that the skin has a tolerance threshold.
Yeah.
Exfoliants, retinoids, vitamin C, acids, they can all be very useful. I mean, they are great tools. But when we start layering several things that are stimulating turnover, affecting the barrier, or potentially triggering inflammation, the skin can go from adapting to being overloaded. And I will give you an analogy that I like to use. I like to compare the skin to going to the gym. Exercise is good for us, right? But if we do an intense workout every single day and never give our body time to recover, eventually our body is going to tell us, that it's enough. And I think the skin is very similar. And not to mention that the skin can only absorb so much of a given ingredient. I remember the war, several years ago, the war with the hyaluronic acid concentrations. What is the concentration? What is this? What is that? And it was not new. I mean, there was a war with HAs. There was a war, with all these ingredients. The fact is that increasing the concentration doesn't necessarily mean we are going to get a better result.
Yeah. So that leads me to this question. Like, let's say take vitamin C for an example. Why is it that a 20% vitamin C isn't automatically better than a 10%?
First of all, because the percentage alone really doesn't tell very much about how effective a product is going to be. So we have to look at the form of vitamin C. Is it pure ascorbic acid, or is it an ester of vitamin C? We have to look also at its stability in the formula, at the delivery system, maybe at the pH, at the skin thickness of the person who will apply the product, and also the degree of reactivity of the skin, how well it gets where it needs to go, how well the skin tolerates it, how often we should use it, So a lot of parameters. And of course, what you're actually trying to achieve with the product also. So based on all this, a stronger formula isn't necessarily a smarter formula.
You have to look at all the parameters also. Yeah, it's 100%. So when we get redness, dryness, breakouts, and sensitivity, can that be caused by the very routine we're using to fix them?
Yes, definitely. It can be caused by the routine we use to try to fix them. And I think this happens more often than we realize. We see a problem, so we treat it, usually very aggressively, because we don't want it to, degenerate. So the skin gets irritated, and then we think, oh, now I have another problem.
Yeah.
So we add something else. And suddenly we are in this cycle where we're trying to fix the skin with more and more product. And sometimes the first thing we need to do is actually stop adding.
Yeah. How do you know?
And I see that very, very often,
But how does somebody know when to add another product or not add? How do you know to manage your own skin and those, let's say I'm treating melasma, and then I see something else. How do I know what to do?
So, like other things, I think one of the most important things is learning to listen to the skin.
Yeah.
This is the first step. We see a little dryness, some redness, a breakout, a change in texture. And our first instinct actually is often to do something about it, right? But sometimes that's exactly when the skin needs less, not more. So if your skin feels comfortable and resilient, you can probably keep using your routine. But if you start seeing persistent redness, let's say during a few days, tightness, stinging, or unusual sensitivity, that may be a sign that your skin needs support rather than an overactive.
Okay.
And by support, I mean, time, maybe more hydration, more time to recover, as we just mentioned, and I think that's where a good skincare professional, like an esthetician, can really help.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Not always by recommending the next treatment, as we can see on social media, but sometimes by knowing when to simplify the routine and give the skin some time to recover.
Yeah.
Because sometimes the best thing we can do for our skin is to leave it alone, to just trust this superpower that it has to look for its balance,
Yeah, like we talked about originally, the skin is super intelligent. And sometimes you just need to back off a little bit and let it do its natural thing rather than just be pushing all the time. We see it often, and we interview a lot of dermatologists and pediatric dermatologists and stuff like that. And they say that some of their biggest things or patients coming in is with just compromised barriers and completely disrupted ecosystems in their skin, just doing and pushing, doing too much to their skin all at the same time and not giving it a break ever. So it's dangerous. And I think that, when we look at it, there's a lot of, it's the trends and stuff like that. It's social media. It's this anti-aging culture or rejuvenation culture, whatever you want to call it, that really pushes people to think that they can push too hard and do more is maybe, is better than just letting your skin do its natural job.
Yeah, the performance culture,
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
And it's, I think, I'm not sure if you look back 30 years ago, I don't remember this type of thing happening in our industry. I think it's really social media that's had a big influence on how people are.
It's just all influence.
It's all influence. It's because everything's accessible to us now differently than it was in the day before. You had, you go to your esthetician or you go to, let's say, a department store and you'd get skincare advice individually, maybe talk to friends and your colleagues and social circle. But now you have all of these people that are going on and saying, I have perfect skin and this is how I did it, right?
Yeah.
Which is just
a very strong pressure.
It's a lot of social pressure. And also it's not everything that you see and hear is true, right? They don't have perfect skin because they use 17 different acids and 5 retinols. And, they do it like more cells somehow in our culture. So I like what you said before about listening to your skin, because we talk a lot about being intuitive with your skin. In the morning when you're washing your face or you're putting your skincare on, how does it feel when you put the product on? How does it, what's it feeling like at night when you go to bed? What is it feeling like in the morning? Because you can push a little bit with retinols and different things, but you have to also know when to back off if you're doing too much. And that pushing through, unless you're under really guided supervision of a dermatologist or medical esthetician that's really guiding you through this process of transforming your skin, doing it on your own is not recommended when you're too aggressive. I just think that going to an expert is really important.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Because, we hear so many things, and they're opposite also. I think, people are a bit lost.
Yeah.
The professional expert or let's say recommendation could be
it's very important.
Help.
Yeah, absolutely.
So as we know, our skin is an ecosystem, right? I want to know, could our obsession with getting our skin clean actually be making it less healthy?
Okay, so let me just talk about the ecosystem, and then we will talk about this.
Explain that to people who are listening.
So just like our gut, our mucous membranes, our skin also has its own microbiome. That's the word. In the past, we were using the flora.
Yes.
But now it's microbiome, which is great. It's a normal evolution because it's let's say an area of amazing discoveries, and we don't know, we only know a very little part of this new
we're learning all the time.
Yeah. So I like to think of the skin as a little ecosystem. It isn't sterile, and it's not supposed to be. And the microbiome is let's say the micro collection of millions of microorganisms living in harmony on the skin surface, like bacteria, viruses, fungi, and other microorganisms. And this microbiome is completely normal at the skin surface, and I could say that it's a big part of what helps keep the skin healthy and balanced. And in, let's say, maybe the next the next years, we will listen more and more the term stratum microbiome that represents the microbiome, but to integrate it in the different layers of the skin anatomy.
Okay, interesting.
We're going to hear that more.
Yeah, I like that.
Because it's super, it cannot be dissociated from the epidermis and the rest of the skin. It's it's a layer, a skin layer on its own.
Okay.
So, so these microorganisms living on our skin interact with our skin and with each other. And just for fun, there are 100 to 10 million microorganisms per square centimeter of skin.
Wow.
Depending on the area of the body. So it's very impressive. And the skin microbiome weighs 200 grams. Actually, if we
put it all together,
remove it.
If we put all this all together, it's 200 grams. So it's fascinating, and it's a fascinating field of discovery. And as I mentioned, we are far from knowing everything about the skin microbiome and also its impact and its involvement in skin diseases, in many things related to the skin, and not only to the skin. Maybe we could open a little parenthesis here. Well, later on the podcast about the link between the skin and the brain also. But we will see that.
I love that.
So
there's more links,
so
more and more
this is
links between everything in the body. So cool.
Well, there's
so
the
this
butt
is
grain,
the microbiome.
Gut brain. I said the butt grain. Sorry. But it's true. We're just, there's so much advancement in this field. I find it so fascinating and also exciting.
Yeah.
That what we're learning today. And like you said, we know only a small amount. Like we're just at the beginning stages of what we
Absolutely.
Of the evolution of the discoveries and stuff like that. Super fun.
So when we over cleanse our skin, we or too aggressively or too often, let's say, we can temporarily disrupt the skin barrier, which is very important because it's our first line of protection, and also to disrupt this delicate ecosystem, the skin barrier, but also the microbiome. So the goal isn't to remove everything from the surface of the skin. Our skin is supposed to have microorganisms living on it, and they are, for the let's say the majority of them, very beneficial. It's really about finding the right balance, keeping the skin clean without stripping away what actually helps keep it healthy.
Mm-hmm. So this
is also not the first time that we've spoken about this. I think it's going to happen more and more. We just recorded another episode, which I think is actually coming out soon, if it's not already out. And she mentions like people over cleanse their skin, but you need the bacteria, you need that stuff on your skin to keep
part
your
of the microbiome.
Barrier.
It's like it's part of the ecosystem that keeps your skin healthy.
Like you just need the balance. So it's like this, I guess, is going to be more and more of a topic of conversation, trying to get away from the squeaky clean, polished skin.
Yeah, because I would say that the squeaky clean thing is a little bit of a warning sign. That very tight, stripped feeling can mean that we've removed too much of the skin's protective surface components, And so a healthy skin doesn't necessarily have to feel completely stripped and squeaky.
Mm-hmm. And I think that people that go for that are people that have oily skin, acne-prone skin. They really go after that. Like, I need to wash. Or, people that go to the gym a lot, washing your face after going to the gym, yes, is very important, but you don't need to double cleanse, triple
so much.
Well, there's like trends that come out about double cleansing every time you wash your face. Like you have to do this, then you have to do that. And it's just, you have to, you have to respect all of the job that the skin has to do. It has a humongous job for the body. It's the largest organ. It's got
absolutely.
Yeah.
And just think about sweat. Sweat is water soluble. So if you go to gym and you want to wash your face after your gym session, you do not need to use a lot of cleanser.
You don't have to scrub it off.
you
But
could
water.
just use water, because you will dissolve all the sweat with water.
Mm-hmm.
When it's about sebum, it's a bit different because we need, a cleanser to eliminate sebum. But
And also,
Interesting.
like a lot of people, when they work out with makeup on because they want to look good during their workout. That's when you need to wash your face, though, after you do a workout with
Or
makeup
just don't
on.
wear makeup.
Because otherwise it can exacerbate problems because a lot of makeup isn't clean and good for your skin. It's asphyxiating. It's not. So,
Don't
there's
wear
a lot of
makeup when
things.
you're working out.
Well, a lot of people do because they go towards the end of the day,
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just the way it is.
Yeah.
Let's talk about at-home skincare tools because most of them are either too weak to matter or too harsh to be safe. If you want professional level results at home, you need something clinically tested and designed by skin experts. The Environ Cosmetic Roll CIT is a medical grade derma roller that creates tiny microchannels in the skin so your serums can penetrate up to 80% deeper. It enhances results, it boosts collagen, and when used correctly, it's incredibly safe and effective. If you're going to invest in at-home skin technology, make it something proven. Use SkinTalks15 at BSkinEnvie, spelled BSkinEnvie.ca for 15% off your first order.
What does healthy skin know how to do on its own that we might be interfering with? So what does it look like? And how are we messing with the system?
Well, the skin knows quite a lot, actually. The skin has its own intelligence, as we mentioned.
Yeah.
Actually, it is an adaptive organ. So it maintains its barrier, regulates water loss, renew itself, modulates inflammation, interacts with the microbiome, and repairs everyday damage when we sleep, let's say during the night, So sometimes the smartest thing we can do is simply create the right conditions for the skin to do its job. So again, it's not, to work harder on the skin or to, apply many products, many active ingredients. It's just to listen to the skin and make sure it can work properly and trust the skin.
Mm-hmm.
So be intuitive with your skin.
Yeah.
Basically. That's interesting.
Yeah, it is. It is interesting. So essentially we should be stopping the fight that we have with our skin. Right. So a lot of people are battling with their skin and fighting with their skin when they should be doing it differently.
Being softer and gentler.
Being softer, letting the skin do its job. I mean, I understand when you have acne or pigment or really skin issues that you want to fight it because you want to correct it, but getting on the right routine with super informed guidance and a plan, you can adjust and change your skin over time. Without having to fight it, but while respecting it.
Yes, and consistent and use the products on a regular way because there are things that we cannot control. The skin has its own rhythms, its own cycles.
Yeah,
we will not speed up the skin or shorten a biological cycle or something like that. Well, we can. Yes, we can
influence
with
things,
retinoids, etc.
Yeah.
But the majority of the things we cannot control them.
Yeah.
So it's to be consistent and use the product on regularly. Yeah.
So your approach is heavily rooted in biomimicry. Did I pronounce that right? Biomimicry?
I think so. Yeah.
What does that mean in skincare?
Okay, so very simply, biomimicry means looking at what healthy skin naturally does and trying to work with those mechanisms rather than consistently trying to override them.
Yeah.
So instead of asking, how can I force the skin to produce more? We could ask, what signal does the skin naturally use to start this process, and can we support that signal? This is the question I ask myself when I develop a new formula.
Okay.
So, and for me, that's much more interesting. It's a much more interesting way of thinking about skincare.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it goes back to your like the ecosystem and working with your skin rather than working against it,
And
right?
enhancing things.
Absolutely.
And understanding how things work and then enhancing it and maybe stimulating things to work better, like messengers or whatever. But how can peptides and enzymes act as signals to support mechanisms already present on the skin? In the skin, I should say.
So some peptides or enzymes can act as biological signals. But I think the interesting question isn't simply, does this formula contain a peptide? But the real question is, what message is that peptide supposed to deliver? And do we have evidence that the skin actually responds to that message? Because not all the peptide trigger, let's say, a positive action within the skin or trigger an action, just this, within the skin. So,
and there's so many, like peptides are the biggest, hottest thing right now we're hearing about. And there's peptides. There's so many different types of peptides.
That's true.
Yeah, I love that.
Peptides everywhere.
They've been around for a long time, but they're having a moment right now. I feel like they're really, really prominent, like collagen or like, protein. Everything is very heightened in certain things in the world right now.
Yeah.
So do you want to, okay. So what's the difference between triggering irritation and supporting the natural skin response?
It's very interesting. I think there is a real important distinction between inflammation and regeneration. Inflammation is not automatically regeneration. And it's,
it's not an irritation
that a lot of people have, so inflammation is not automatically a regeneration. And a visible reaction, like let's say your skin is reacting, tells you that the skin has been challenged. It doesn't necessarily tell you that the skin has been improved.
No.
So we often hear this idea that tingling, redness, or peeling means a product is working. And sometimes it may be part of the intended response, but it's not proof of efficacy. And let me make a little detour here and talk about the skin-brain connection, because it's actually fascinating. So the skin and the brain are in constant communication. They actually share a very close biological relationship, and they come from the same embryologic tissue. Is it okay? So, and that's why stress, emotions, and even a lack of sleep can show up on our skin.
Yeah.
And conversely, what we do to our skin can influence how we feel. So that's another reason why I believe we should work with the skin rather than constantly trying to control it.
It's a whole new way of thinking.
Yeah, but I like it. It makes sense to me. Like always when, we talked about that many times. When we hear things like, it makes sense.
Yeah.
There's a logic for me.
But I think for a majority of the population, it's like almost like a rewiring of how people are going to have to treat their skin. Because right now it's just like attack, product, not even thinking about the natural ways the skin works. So I feel like it's just like a good movement.
Yeah, it's a movement. It's like, the question is does the future include fewer ingredients, fewer actions? But smarter and more targeted ones, right? Based on specific concerns. And what do you think?
Yes, I think so. But it wouldn't necessarily say the future is about having fewer ingredients. I think it's about being much more intentional about what we put on the skin.
Yeah.
We don't need an ingredient. We don't need an ingredient just because it's trendy or because we can add it to a formula. Every ingredient should have a purpose.
Intention.
So for me, it's really about precision. Choosing the right ingredient at the right concentration, as a formulator, okay, in the right delivery system for the right skin concern, and making sure that the ingredients in the formula work together rather than simply adding more actives, So yes, I think we are moving toward more targeted, more intentional formulas, not necessarily fewer ingredients, but fewer unnecessary ingredients.
Yeah, I love that. That makes perfect sense to me. Smarter skincare.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is basically what we talk about a lot.
Yeah.
Because people will just, sometimes we in our clinic or we do virtual consultations all the time, and people will come in 20, 30 different products, trying to tackle a problem, and they're just over exasperating their skin. Their skin's in crisis mode. Nothing that they have in their skin closet is got anything to do with their concerns, but they purchased it because they saw it. It was on sale. Somebody recommended it. It's trending, whatever the reason may be.
Yeah.
And they just don't know what to do anymore. It's funny because we know how to more or less take care of a lot of things for ourselves, but the skin is not something that the average person really understands how to take care of,
That's true.
It's a new thing. Like, we know how to take care of our hair more or less because most people will have their hair cut, get hair color and stuff. And, you just have to use the wrong shampoo with the colored hair, and you realize really quickly that it clarifies it out and your color fades really quickly. And that's an easy one, but people don't understand their skin and they take advantage of it.
The skin is like complex.
It's complex.
It's not just...
It's really, really complex. And we discover how big is the complexity with the new discoveries, and all these links that we can do now between the microbiome, the skin, the gut, the brain, also discovering, I think in the next part of the podcast, we will talk about, these new technologies, but with the new technologies also we can work, let's say maybe more intentionally or more upward in the processes also.
Yeah, that's.
I want to get into exosomes,
like the next generation of skincare kind of thing. What we're hearing about all the time,
which is like exosomes, NAD. But I want to know about exosomes. What are they, and what can they realistically do for the skin?
Okay, so first of all, did you know that exosomes were first observed by a woman at the McGill University?
No.
In Montreal? Yeah.
Wow, I did not know that.
So it's Rose Johnstone.
Rose Johnstone.
I think it was in the early 80s. She started, identify these little vesicles into the skin and thinking it was like the garbage of the skin. But, further work and studies and so on allowed the researcher to identify that it was, communication signals in the cells. So it's very interesting. So the exosomes are like very small extracellular vesicle. Well, they are produced by cells, but they travel outside the cells to help the cells communicate between them. So they can carry biological signals, including proteins, RNA, DNA, enzymes, and other molecules that are very interesting, and they are involved in the communication between cells. But I think we have to be careful when we talk about exosomes, because not all exosome technology are the same. First of all, the source, how they are produced, how they are characterized, their purity, their stability, their biological activity all matter. And source, because at the moment on the market, well, not necessarily on the Canadian market, but on the global market, we can find exosome from humans, exosome from plants, exosome from biotech, exosome from animals. There's so many things that needs to be clarified about exosome. So I wouldn't simply say exosome regenerate the skin. I think it's more accurate to talk about their potential role in cellular communication and in supporting biological repair pathways, depending on the technology and the evidence behind it.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
At the moment, we are at the beginning of the exosome story. We don't know.
I agree.
I just got a microneedling treatment done 4 days ago, and I put exosomes on top. And I have to say, I've done a lot of microneedling in my life, and my skin looks and feels the best it's ever did.
So it repairs. I
repaired, like the redness went, like the next day I had no redness. And usually like I'll have a little bit, especially on my neck. I find my neck takes a long time to heal, and I'll have like splotches on my face, but my skin the next morning really looked even. And I was like, that's really interesting.
It is. It helps with the repair process, but
absolutely.
It does
inflammation and repair.
Yeah, I've used them too during more intense treatments like Fotona. But I think that there's a lot of marketing around exosomes.
Yeah, but like any new ingredient there is. So you have to be like
cautious,
you said, like where you source it, all of that. Yeah, all of the
and we should claim transparency also regarding exosomes for now, because there is no there is no regulatory framework. Well, there is one, but I think it's not a very stringent regulatory framework here in Canada. So it's just about the claims that you can make or not regarding exosomes. But I think it's broader than that. I mean, the origin is very important. Their integrity into a product. A lot of things about exosomes need to be clarified. And at the moment, I would suggest to ask questions, to ask for transparency before using exosome.
I think it's really
I think
important.
that it's like any ingredient that's like, wow, it's not heavily studied, all this stuff, like it's going to be used as a marketing term, I think, as like in the future. I can imagine it being like used as marketing. So it's very important to...
Everything is about marketing
ask the questions and educate yourself.
Ask the questions on everything. I wanted to talk about NAD+.
Me too.
And why it's
I know nothing about it.
Yeah. I want to know why it's becoming such a big part of the skin longevity conversation today.
Okay, so that's very interesting. I learned a lot, exosomes and also NAD+, because, they are part of our latest innovation with Laboratoire Dr Renaud. But NAD+ is a molecule that we have in our body, and not only in our skin, and it is fundamental to cellular metabolism and energy production. And we know that with time, there is a decrease in cellular metabolism because of a decrease in energy production. So
as we get older, as we become more
as we
wise.
get older. And NAD+ is involved in a number of processes that are important for maintaining cellular function. What makes it interesting for skin longevity is that NAD+ availability changes as cells age, that we just mentioned. So the question becomes, can we support the skin's ability to maintain cellular energy and function as it ages? that's where I think the science gets really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
But we also have to be careful to distinguish what is biologically plausible from what has actually been demonstrated clinically.
Mm-hmm.
So here too, we are at the beginning of, the discovery of what we should know about NAD+. But it's very promising, very interesting, and it's one of the supporting ingredient of the longevity concept that we started seeing on the social media, a few months ago.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Okay. So there's also
it's also new. Yeah.
Well,
but it's interesting because the energy, I like that, the energy around the cells.
But I know that there was these NAD infusions, but also weren't there patches or something? There was also something else. So it's interesting now that it's becoming more about the skin and less, and also
also about the body.
About the body, because I've known it as body. I didn't know anything about skin, but
there's
that's
also
supplementation.
Yeah, it comes from. I think the NAD+ comes from the nutrition side. All the people who are exercising, trying to keep their energy at a
higher level,
etc., etc. So yeah, it started there, and it comes to the skincare. Then, yeah.
Amazing.
I'd like to know. Regenerative skincare is a commonly used term today. What does it actually mean scientifically, in your opinion?
So for me, regenerative skincare shouldn't mean promising to regenerate everything. That's simply too broad. I think it's really about supporting the biological processes that help maintain and restore healthy skin function. And I like to think about it as a progression. First, control excessive inflammation, then restore the barrier, support repair of the epidermis, and ultimately support the remodeling of the extracellular matrix, where all the youthful molecules are synthesized.
Okay.
And this support of this matrix would lead to regeneration of the skin. So it becomes a biological process rather than just a marketing claim, because we can hear regeneration everywhere with no distinction, no nuance actually.
Yeah. Okay, very interesting.
And what I want to know, what can you do in a lab today that you couldn't have imagined doing when you started 46 years ago?
I love the question.
I'm sure things have changed.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So when I started, we tended to think about ingredients in a much more linear way.
Okay.
These ingredients moisturizes. These ingredients exfoliate. This one stimulates collagen.
Mm-hmm.
Today, we have a much better understanding of the skin as a biological network system. We can think about cellular communication. We can think about cellular energy, biomimetic technologies, a lot of new concepts and new ingredients to help us develop products that can act upstream in the biological processes, or upstream in the skin, not just at the on the last part of the process. As an example, in the past, we focused on simulating collagen synthesis with peptides.
Okay.
Today, there is the exosome thing. And they are interesting because they may influence the cellular signaling pathways involved in the skin's regenerative processes. So we could influence a process upward and have a response, a broader response, not only on the collagen, but also on the elastin, on the hyaluronic acid, on all this beautiful youth molecule, which means be able to potentially act further, upstream, rather than just simply targeting the collagen.
Not so linear.
It's more
the last step of the collagen production. So we are moving from simply putting something on the skin to asking how we can influence the biological pathways in a much more targeted way. And I think that's the really exciting part. I mean, for a formulator like me, it's not that we can do more, it's that we can hopefully do more with less.
Oh, yeah.
Ah, yeah. Love that.
Like that.
We understand
so there's
more.
more complexity to it.
Yeah.
It's very cool. I mean, that makes sense. I want to know now, for somebody listening, and they want to have a good routine, how many products does the skin actually need?
Like your morning, evening routine, what do you recommend?
For somebody who's listening to this and needs assistance.
So there's no magic number, but honestly, most skin probably doesn't need 10 active treatments every day.
No, for sure not.
Okay. It's, I mean, what are the true non-negotiables? We can start
let's do that.
Yeah. So for me, there are really 4 basics. First, cleanse appropriately. So it doesn't mean not necessarily aggressively, okay? It depends on your skin type. You should choose your cleanser depending on your skin type.
Yeah.
Then support the skin barrier. It's very important. If not, the skin will fight against, all the aggressions and will not be able to do its job, properly. Third, protect the skin from UV. This is something mandatory. I think in 2026, we all agree that it's mandatory.
SPF.
It's not an option. And then, depending on your skin, your goals, and your tolerance, also how the skin can tolerate products, add 1 or 2 targeted actives.
Like vitamin C, for example, or
retinol.
Absolutely, or retinol, or
niacinamide, something that's
and stay on these for, let's say, the next 2 to 3 months.
Have patience.
And every change of season, we could revisit the routine and adapt to other realities linked to the weather, or our activities, outdoor, indoor. And that's it. I would much rather see someone use 3 products consistently and intelligently, if I can say that, than 10 products inconsistently and aggressively.
Yeah, I agree. And also I find that, sometimes that people will come to see us and we'll put them on that 4-step. We're big believers in the 4-step routine, just like you explained there. So it just reinforces our messaging as well. But sometimes when you put somebody on a 4-step routine in order to solve and kind of bring homeostasis and restore the health of the skin if they're in trouble with acne or whatever it may be, once they get to the 3-month mark, their skin has changed. And so they'll see things differently and maybe their concerns will shift. So that checking in after the 3-month mark, whether it be change of season, but also maybe retargeting something that wasn't their concern originally, that might be their concern now. Like let's say, for example, if you had a lot of acne, you might have a lot of post-inflammatory hyperpigmentation, a lot of red spots from the acne. So then you're going to treat that differently than the acne. So you're always kind of adjusting. And we said it before, is intuition with your skin. Where are you at? Checking in. How does it feel? How do you feel? and then making having a plan in place, but with an expert. And I always say go to an esthetician because they live and breathe skin. They look at skin every single day. They understand it. They know their products. They know their treatments. And they'll really help you.
They can read the skin, in detail and see things that nobody can see. I mean,
Yeah, 100%.
Definitely. So now we know what the non-negotiables are, but somebody's looking at their bathroom or their shelfie and they see all their products. Like, how can you tell them what can stay and what can go? Like, how are you going to direct them to know what's good for them and what's not?
Okay, so I would ask 3 very simple questions.
Yes.
Why am I using this product?
Yeah.
Do I have a reason to believe it's actually doing something meaningful for my skin?
Mm-hmm.
And does my skin tolerate it? And if you can't answer those 3 questions, I think that product deserves a second look and maybe, and probably should be eliminated from the routine.
I mean, I think that's pretty easy. It makes total sense. Maybe I'm going to do that.
I don't think that we ask ourselves those kinds of questions as a general sense for a lot of things. So that's really, I think it's very helpful to have that.
Yeah.
Like, for somebody that's.
And then also, like, because we're so easily influenced in today's day, like with social and stuff like that, I think that those 3 questions should also be asked when we see our favorite influencer talk about a product, before we are influenced to buy that product or we think we need it, also to ask those 3 questions, because then you're just spending your money on products that are not going to work for your skin, that could cause more harm.
And you're also spending a lot of money. Like, let's not, everybody's talking about the economy that we're in right now. I mean, we have to think those kinds of things, like and know that, if you're going to spend your hard-earned money on something like that, doesn't mean it's going to work for you.
Exactly. So the next question is like, where is it actually worth investing? Like, if you're going to spend all this money, where do you want people to invest it in their skincare? Is it in the non-negotiables that you spoke about? Yeah.
I would say, the non-negotiable. It's always surprising when you look at the shelves. Well, when I look at the shelves at my friends, and I see all the products they bought, and they maybe just try for a few days and realize they were not for their skin.
Yeah.
So the non-negotiable, I think we should look for, let's say, the perfect fit with our skin, because each skin is unique, and my expectation regarding a sunscreen is probably not the same as yours. The non-negotiable are very important, and we should definitely invest in that.
Perfect.
I agree.
So to end every episode, we always ask 3 signature questions, or like rapid fire questions. So whatever comes to mind. First one, after 46 years of skincare research and development, what's the one skincare habit you wish most people would stop doing?
Chasing irritation.
Yeah.
Chasing irritation.
Because, I would really love for people to stop equating irritation with efficacy.
Yeah.
A reaction is not necessarily a result.
Yeah. Very true.
I love
very
that.
true.
The second question is, what's one ingredient or technology that you're genuinely excited about for the future of skin health?
It's a very good question. Actually, I am more excited about a convergence of technologies than one particular ingredient or technology. I'm really interested in biomimicry, cellular communication, and longevity, and how these areas are coming together.
Love that.
So, and what excites me most is the idea of communicating more intelligently with the skin, rather than simply stimulating it harder.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I like that.
Yeah.
We'll see how we can, play with these three technologies.
I love it. Yeah,
it's great.
What do you think we'll look back on in today's skincare routine 20 years from now and say, why were we doing that to our skin?
I really question. I think we'll look back at the idea that more irritation meant more efficacy, and probably at routines where people were layering, let's say, 10 powerful actives simply because each one was effective on its own, without thinking enough about how they interacted with each other or with the skin barrier.
Yeah.
And probably the future of skincare will be, less about how much we can make the skin do and more about how intelligently we can support what the skin already knows how to do.
Yeah, I love that.
I love that.
That
makes me excited. That's a great,
takeaway.
That's like a big, huge exclamation point, mic drop right there.
I think that's the biggest takeaway of today's episode. I really love this episode.
Yeah, it was so interesting.
Thank you so much for joining us today.
I learned so much, but it also reinforces a lot of the messaging and the belief systems that we have when we approach our own virtual consultations and our consultations with our clients. It's just, it's very encouraging. And it's also such an exciting industry to be in.
Oh, yes. And it goes faster and faster, with so much amazing discoveries and
really, really fun. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for listening to Skin Talks.
If this episode inspired you, taught you something new, or just made you feel seen, please share with someone you love. And if you believe in thoughtful and empowering conversations that help you make better choices for yourself around your beauty and wellness, please rate and review the show. It helps us to grow our community, and we deeply appreciate it. Because this isn't just about skin.
It's about claiming your beauty, feeling strong, informed, and at home in yourself.
See you next week.